The Chicano movement began in the early 1960s. It took place in major cities across the United States, such as Chicago, Illinois, and Los Angeles, California. Its purpose was to engage in social action and encourage people to stand up for equal rights. The three main goals of the Chicano movement were restoral of land, rights for farm workers, and educational reforms. This included the quest for a homeland, struggles in the fields, taking back the schools, and fighting for political power. The term Chicano was considered as a derogative term for Mexicans during this movement because they weren't considered Mexican nor American. It was used to describe the children of Mexican immigrants. However, they used the term to achieve a sense of ethnic pride and self-determination. The Chicano movement sparked from numerous events prior to the 1960s, dating back to February 2, 1848, at the end of the Mexican-American War. Mexico had lost nearly 50% of their land to the United States. The United States acquired this land due to the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo of 1848. Mexican Americans began to demand for this territory back in the 1960s and 70s because it was a part of their ancestral homeland known as the Aztlán. Despite this, Hispanics won two legal victories, one in 1947 called Mendez v. Westminster Supreme Court, which is similar to Brown v. Board of Education, and another in 1954 known as Hernandez v. Texas, requiring equal rights for all racial groups.
Cesar Chavez was born in 1927 to a Mexican-American family who were farmers. He joined the Community Service Organization in 1952 where he met Dolores Huerta. In 1962, they both broke off to found the National Farm Workers Association, which later became known as the United Farm Workers. The United Farm Workers ended the Bracero program in 1964, joined the Agriculture Workers Organization Committee to boycott grapes in 1965, and began a 25-day fast at 40 acres to show penitence for moral problems in 1968. Some other leaders were Ruiz Lopez Tijerina, who worked on the land grant movement, Dr. Hector P. Garcia, who founded the American GI Forum and was later appointed to the United States Commission on Civil Rights, and Rodolfo Corque Gonzalez, who helped define the meaning of being a Chicano through his poem Yo Soy Joaquin. Some of the famous organizations were the Brown Berets, who defended neighborhoods against crime and providing social services, the Movimiento Estudiantil Chicano de Aztlán, whose main focus was promoting higher education for Chicanos, the Mexican-American Legal Defense and Education Fund, which promoted and protected the civil rights of Mexican Americans, the National Chicano Moratorium Committee, which protested U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War because of the lack of Latino representation and command, and La Raza Unida, which was getting Chicano and Hispanic candidates elected to public office.
The Delano strike was against local grape growers in the city of Delano, initiated by the AWOC on September 8, 1965, demanding wages equal to the federal minimum wage. Joined by Cesar Chavez, over 2,000 workers came to protest. Workers refused to pick grapes affecting the farms. Cesar marched with the workers from Delano to the state capital of Sacramento to get attention. There was a boycott on grapes, and the workers won equal wage rights. This Civil Rights Act lasted about 5 years. The strike ended in 1970. In schools, Chicanos were segregated and discriminated against. Many had racist teachers. Students protested by organizing walkouts where they would leave school in large amounts and march to fight for their rights. Mayo was an organization that mirrored the power of Chicano students concerned with problems in their schools. Chicanas in this time were sexually harassed and felt mistreated and wanted to join the movement. but many were looked down upon because most were secretaries, cooks, and janitors. In 1973, the Comisión Femenil Chicana Nacional was formed. The commission became an important part of Chicana feminism. They fought all together for equal rights. The Brown Berets were a group that emerged during the Chicano movement in the late 1960s. The group focused mainly on community organization against police brutality and educational equality. By September 1968, the Brown Berets became a national organization. They produced newspapers called La Causa, where women played an important role in writing.
Chicano movements were famous for their artworks. On April 22, 1970s, they created Chicano People's Park in San Diego to highlight the importance of Chicano art. They used artwork to illustrate the injustice that were faced. Some of the injustice they were faced with were dangerous working conditions and lack of workers' rights. As of 2009, about 48% of Latino young adults aged 16 to 25 say that they don't plan on going to college. 33% of Latino young adults say that they are currently enrolled in school. 36% of Hispanic females say they are enrolled in school, but 30% of Hispanic males says that they are in school. In 2005, according to the Pew Hispanic Center, 56% of illegal immigrants were from Mexico and 22% were from Latin American countries. Top 3 illegal immigrant residents is California, Texas, and Florida. Around 6 to 7 million immigrants came to U.S. illegally, and between 4 and 5.5 million immigrants came to U.S. with a legal visa. The employment rate among Latinos were 11.3% compared to a 7.9% for white workers in 2009. Latinos' weekly income was around $532, while non-Latinos earned $774. 1 in every 4 Latinos lived below poverty line in 2009.